really excited to be here with you all today and invite some of my best friends from all generations to join us to share the future of the ocean and the future of ocean conservation and what it looks like now within the COP negotiations, where the ocean has a role, and most importantly, what we're all doing to advance ocean-based climate solutions. So we're going to dive right in today, and we have our incredible sister Fire from Aotearoa, New Zealand, that's going to be sharing a part of her culture and ancestry, and it's going to be a really special song ceremony and sound bath that we all get to experience. We're going to do a closing with Sister Fire as well, and I think when we remember that we're all part of this ocean ancestry, that we're all connected here together for one common mission, we're really able to advance our agenda. So we're going to be unpacking the state of the climate negotiations, the state of ocean climate action, ocean technology, ancient wisdom, indigenous-led solutions, all in this interconnected web. Just like water connects us all and is this thread that weaves through different cultures and follows the path of least resistance, we're going to do exactly that today as we embark on our journey. So hold on, we're going for an awesome adventure throughout the 7 seas, and I'm really excited to bring my favorite people, some of my favorite people on the entire planet here to share some wisdom today. And Fire, I'm going to pass it over to you to bless us with your incredible sound healing.
All right, there we are. So as we sit together as one family, just invite you to close your eyes and drop into a beautiful space. This space right here and now. I want you to imagine that beloved place that lies deep into your heart, that you remember going to, the ocean, the first time you went to the sea. Your happy place, where she spoke to you, where she spoke to your heart. Where the waves first kissed your feet. Haramai te akanui, haramai te akaroa, haramai te kākamatua. Nā i o matua take te waiora. Ki tēnei tamahine no e o. Tiki te rangi e. No mai ki marama atu ai. Ki ngā tirohanga whānui, tirohanga hōhonu, mai te pai te whito ki te pai tata. kia tu teite, kia tu hāngai, tō mana tuku iho I karangatia rā e te tū tamawahine, e te tū tamatāne, te urunga tū, te urunga pai, te urunga tapu, o ngā whānau, o ngā hāpu, o ngā iwi e, te hei mauri ora.
Keepers. Wisdom that comes from a long line and generations of protection for our beautiful planet, the elemental world, our beautiful ocean, guarded by many kaitiaki that live beneath the surface, the ones that have no voice here in these policy-making spaces. We stand here today to bring that voice to the table. We stand here today for those deep underneath the sea. We stand here today, the many branches of knowledge, for our children of tomorrow. So know my heart am I, welcome. Welcome to this place and this space. We pay our respects to the beautiful people of the UAE and their children. May we remember who we are and where we come from. We come from the sea. We come from the waters from the heaven that touch the sky, that falls, making the rainbow, forming the rivers that weave through the crevices of the mountains and the earth, that form those rivers that run to our great, beautiful blue ocean. So no mai haere mai. We call to them, we stand to protect them. So ngā mihi aroha, with all our love, we greet you. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Fire. Before we dive in, Fire has been like a mom, a mentor, a teacher, a guardian, and I just want to acknowledge that Indigenous guardianship of this planet protects over 80% of biological diversity, despite only representing 5% of the planet's human capacity in terms of population. So we understand that although Indigenous peoples have been forcibly displaced through all numbers of colonial acts throughout history, they're still stewarding the most rich areas in terms of biodiversity. They're still regenerating ecosystems. They're still healing the ocean. And people are still transforming the wisdom of their ancestors into contemporary climate solutions and policy. That was a blessing. And every time we get to hear from Fire, which has been an incredible amount of times over the COP space, my heart and mind come back together with my soul. And I think this is a great entry point to a really important topic that we're going to be diving in today, which is really the future of ocean innovation and what community building means across generations, across constituencies, across racial groups, across ethnic groups, across every type of group that we can imagine. And within the COP space, unity for our collective goals is more important now than ever. So I guess we'll start by a short introduction from every one of these awesome panelists up here. And I think in your introduction, it would be great if you could share just one word or one thing that has kept you going throughout this space. And for me, it's been community all the way. And having a climate community, an ocean community, a community of people that love the same things has driven me to keep energized throughout all the negotiations, all the times we've been presenting, all the ocean and climate dialogues, and everything we've been here. So Ela, we can start with you and we can jump around however you like. This doesn't have to be a traditional style panel. And go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ela Gokcigdem. I'm from a small island in Turkey called Afşa. And before I introduce myself, I really just want to make sure that this is a safe space for all of us, because what we're going to be talking about in the next hour is very emotional, and I know a lot of us are very exhausted. We're all very exhausted, disappointed, lots of emotions, coming in a place where emotions aren't looked upon as something beneficial or valuable. I just hope that we can have a discussion that comes from the heart, because I feel like we really need that right now, because it's been a very dark past few weeks. And going deeper, I guess, into what I do. I'm the Turkish representative. I'm a young delegate of the Turkish Ministry of Environment. I'm working on developing the Marmara Sea Action Plan, which got passed, thankfully, 4 days ago. It is the first youth-led legislation that actually got passed in the Turkish government ever. And it also applies to the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So we, as a nation of Turkey, can hold the nations accountable in the Mediterranean Sea basin and the Black Sea for the pollution that our islands endure in Turkey. So that was a win. I fought way too hard for it. I shouldn't have had to, but I'm excited to talk more about that and also what I'm doing on algae conservation as well. But I'm really happy to be here in such a wonderful space.
Thank you so much for holding this space for us, and also for those words, Ela, and for the incredible ceremony, Sister Faya. I also wanted to say congratulations. The first youth-led legislation to pass the government in Turkey. Like, can we have a round of applause? This woman wears so many hats and is not even like 22. So I just wanted to say, like, I think maybe my word to inspire me today is Ela. But my name is Mark Haver. I'm the CEO and founder of Blue Green Generation Consulting. I'm basically your Swiss Army knife for action on ocean, climate, and sustainable fashion. Some of my projects include working with Sustainable Ocean Alliance, the world's largest network of young ocean leaders, where I serve as their regional representative for North America. So I do community building for our locally led, youth-led ocean solutions in the US and Canada. I'm also part of our policy team and leading our delegations engagement here at COP28. I'm also the partnerships director for Deep Rising, Deep Rising is an incredible environmental documentary that's Sundance nominated, New York Times Critic Choice, narrated and produced by Jason Momoa and directed by award-winning director Matthew Ritz. And this documentary basically explores the issues surrounding deep sea mining and the issues surrounding extraction of critical metals and minerals. And last but not least, I'm also the co-founder and chief strategy officer for Global Fashion Exchange's youth program. We're introducing clothing swaps all over the world and promoting sustainable consumption by using the power of fashion. And I'm going to keep my, my hope word as Ela. Congrats.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jean-Pierre Rouja from Bermuda. I'm the executive director of a new NGO called BioQuest, which is focused on equitable access to genomics in the Caribbean for biodiversity conservation. Also founder of Station B and the Non-Such Expeditions in Bermuda, which use technology to solve conservation challenges. And part of what I'm doing here is looking to engage with others who have the same needs as we do, to see how we can assist and collaborate on these efforts.
Right. Pardon me. I was listening when Fire put us through the meditation. I remember my first contact, first love to touch the ocean. I was only about 1 year old, crawling on the sand, eating the sand and rolling into the ocean as a tiny little tot. And that's when I started to realize that, wow, this ocean is so big, this water is so much. Where's the rest of it? Where do we go to and where from? And growing up on the ocean as a saltwater man from the east coast of Australia, and also my name's Waranga Dungia. Waranga means leader, and my last name Koala. Dungia means koala, and I'm one of the land spiral, you could say, of the land. Koalas work in 3 directions of the triangle, but the ocean was drawing me there as a small child, and I haven't left the ocean now. So being a saltwater man, I feel really honor to be on here, on this planet, to fight for the beautiful Mimi and the ocean. Thank you.
It's definitely an honor to be walking with Uncle Wurunga. He carries so much knowledge, as do we all. So kia ora, my name is Whaia Kohine Ipurangi. I'm a Ngāti Kahununu woman of the east coast of the North Island of New Zealand. However, I was raised in Australia with my Aboriginal grandmother since I was 6 years old. I am a sonic weaver, so what I love to do most is to connect with the sounds of our living natural world. And I think, you know, when we're in alignment with our health and well-being, we have our feet, our bare feet touching the earth. We have our bare feet and our skin touching the salt water. And one of the most beautiful blessings that one of my elders ever taught me, and I think we all feel it when, you know, in our lives at some point, but it might not just be a thinking thing, because the ocean is very much a feeling thing. So when we wash our bodies or when we drink water, like we use the fresh water. But when we want to clean our spirits, when we want to clean our soul, when we want to let things go and want to be washed away, we use the salt water as Māori people. And I think we all kind of understand this innate knowing. And one of the beautiful teachers in my life is the tohora, which is the whale. And I am so in love with whales that I believe that they are just holding it down for us in hope that we get it together. They are sonically weaving song lines through the salt water for our planet that just changes the whole biometrics of our entire planet. And secretly, I'm in love with blue whale poo. And that just means the phytoplankton, right? And all of that goodness that they go down deep and they eat that and they bring it to the surface and it just regenerates our whole entire ecosystem. So I love the Tohora particularly, and I am also very honoured to be here in this beautiful country, and I'm honoured to connect with all of the different nationalities that are here just having a voice for Mother Nature.
We know Indigenous science is oftentimes undervalued and not recognized. And the role of recognizing Indigenous science and learning from our Indigenous leaders, as the Wisdom Keepers, our group of 15 Indigenous leaders who are in the audience here, have done for the last 2 weeks is paramount if we're going to reach our collective climate goals. I'm Bodhi Patil. I'm a student. I'm an ocean climate solutionist. I'm a representative of Gen Z and the ocean. And most importantly, I'm just a young person that wants to have a positive impact on the planet and bring people together with love, with reciprocity, with a complete shift in values so we can reach all of our climate goals and create the healthy, just, livable, equitable, regenerative future and blue economy that we all need. And again, these are some of my best friends in the world. I've learned so much from them. I'm so grateful for them. And I think one thing that is key across all these incredible people, they're actively shaping the ocean, they're actively improving their communities and the planet, they're actively standing up for the voice of the ocean, is humility. And everyone here approaches the ocean and ocean conservation with humility, because there's no better entity, there's no better living being to humble you than the ocean. Getting smacked down by waves, getting realized that you are just a powerless little tiny phytoplankton swimming around, part of that oxygen, part of that marine snow carbon cycling cycle, and you're just this tiny little insignificant creature that can also make huge waves. So on the note of waves, we are here at COP. It is the last day. It's crunch time now, and we need a few key things within the global stocktake and these big decisions in order to have a successful outcome. I want to start with you, Mark. What do we need to see from the COP presidency in order for the ocean to be recognized and in order to reach our climate goals? That's what we're here for, aren't we?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question, Bodhi. So I engage a lot at the Ocean Climate Policy Interface, and I was really hoping I'd be able to show up today and be like, guys, like, wow, we did it. We were able to make sure that oceans were included in paragraph 64 of the Global Goal on Adaptation. Wow, the ocean is mentioned in the CMA 5 cover text of the Global Stocktake. Yes, while that is true, COP28 is on the verge of complete failure. And I am furious. We all should be furious. Because what does this draft text that comes through last night? Let me read this to you. This is where negotiations are currently, okay? In the energy section from the latest Global Stocktake text, we have phase down of unabated coal and phase out of inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. We have reducing consumption and production of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, equitable manner in order to achieve net zero by, before, or around 2050. What is this? Why did we come to Dubai? What do you mean, inefficient fossil fuel subsidies? What do you mean, inefficient fossil fuel subsidies? We have already subsidized this industry so much that we're sacrificing entire island nations to disappear within my lifetime. We have already chosen to sacrifice 95% of coral reefs because we just did not care enough to act sooner. What do you mean, inefficient fuel subsidies? Is this saying which is less efficient, a serrated blade or one that's a straight edge? At the end of the day, whether it's the fossil fuel subsidies, inefficient or efficient or not, it is still the knife that is killing us. We talk about, reducing consumption and production of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, equitable manner around 2050? We are lining up to get on this ark that's trying to save us from these rising sea levels, from these floods that destroyed my hometown and killed members of my community. In an orderly fashion, we're lining up one by one to put on who? These fossil fuel executives? These people who have had the most power, the most privilege, the least vulnerable, to get on this boat that's taking us far away from the communities that we're looking to sacrifice? I don't understand how we can go from 3 drafts of the global stocktake talking about phase out, phase out, phase out. For the very first time, we had all these drafts just talking about phase out, and now we have phase down of unabated coal only. I thought this was supposed to be historic and unprecedented. And here we are, wondering later is too late and this is what we get? I don't understand how we got here, and I will not be happy with this. How can we expect anything to come out of this? Oh, congrats, we have the loss and damage fund. But you know what? My faith in our ability to make this historic, unprecedented change at COP28 is almost lost and completely damaged. I don't understand how our world leaders don't realize that our house is on fire. And if they cannot realize that our house is on fire, then we must make sure that they feel the heat.
It's no joke what's happening right now, and we see it and we experience it in so many ways. I'm not going to sit here and explain all the ways in which we feel the impacts from climate change. I'm not going to explain all the social pressures and the ways it affects the communities most vulnerable, the indigenous communities, the young communities, the frontline communities. They're suffering every single day. The 1.4 billion young people that would want to be here to advocate for the health of the climate and the health of our planet, that cannot, because they right now are suffering through the worst of the climate crisis and the hottest temperatures we've ever seen recorded in Earth's history. It's no joke anymore. And it's incredible to see us showing up to every single event, time and time again, demanding in every single way that we need to create a just and equitable future, that we need to have a full phase out of fossil fuels, that the time for playing around with world leaders is over and the time for a just transition is now. And it's incredible to see the momentum we've been able to build. And for me, there is still hope. And today is still the last day. And we still need to show up. We can't give up. And we can never lose hope, because that is all we got on a planet that is on fire. Ella, there are so many solutions that are working. There are so many incredible youth-led, women-led, minority-led solutions that are incredibly innovative, that are not getting the time and space they deserve in order to scale up, receive the finance they need. Can you tell us about one? And can you give us a reason why we should have hope, even though it shouldn't be the burden of Gen Z, our generation, to always be providing dosages, prescriptions to older generations of hope? Sometimes that's the thing that we have to do in order to get to our goals. And we're stepping up to the challenge, unapologetically. Ella, what is one way that we should have hope, and what's some of the solutions you're working on to do that?
Thank you, Bodhi. I'm not sure if my mic is up. There it is. Okay, so out of necessity, I founded this company called Bloom. I wish I didn't have to. I wish I didn't get to that point, but to save the people on my island in the Marmara Sea, I had to find a solution to this endemic algal bloom. I'd love to talk more about the wisdom of plankton and how important they have a role in the ecosystem. They're so small, but they make such a big impact. And basically, there's a substance called mucilage, and if you've ever had chia pudding or something that's slimy in food, that's mucilage. And these tiny, tiny phytoplankton, they're so overworked and overstressed because of the amount of pollution we're dumping into their homes that they're creating this slime-like substance just to protect themselves from their environment. But when you take one phytoplankton, it's not that much, but when you take billions, trillions of these subspecies, it creates this mat and spider web through the entire ecosystem of the seafloor and clogs the gills of fish. It stops all boat transportation and then clogged our desalination plants. We didn't have running water. The government constantly tried to deploy these cleanup mechanisms. But we all know that we can't trust our governments as much anymore. I started Bloom because I wanted to find a way to give the coastal communities the power to clean up the mucilage themselves. At least they have some sense of control over the impacts, the pollution that didn't even have a 0.001% of creating. I wanted to give them a sense of ownership of the communities that the system took away from them. So I created Bloom, and I'm thankfully one of the 100 startups here at COP that were selected through the Nexus COP28 partnership, but I'm one of the few that are actually truly integrating biomimicry and nature's design principles. I never thought I'd be in climate tech. It feels gross saying it, because those who know me, my parents, I always wanted to be a marine biologist. I always wanted to go to music, but I saw that the people who made action had this other language in their head, and that's finance, that's money, that's quantitative. So I put myself through absolute hell the past 4 years studying business and finance and accounting. It's funny saying, but it wasn't me. I never was interested in it, but I realized that if I couldn't speak that language, no one would take me seriously. And that's true, especially in the climate tech space, especially in this climate solution place. If I went up to the COP28 venue and I talked about like nature's design principles, or that I don't want to get $1 billion off this business, they would kick me out. No one would take me seriously. That's why I love this space, so I could say it freely. I say this multiple times, but in nature, there's no such thing as a 10 times return on your investment. If you're putting in energy into something as a species and you're getting 10 times back, you're cancer, or you're invasive, you don't belong there, you're taking it away from something else that needs it. So my business, I really try to integrate ecosystem services, these buzzwords that give some sense of hope. I try to comply to that system to bring some solution to my coastal communities, but I tried to build it based off the biomimetic design of a cabbage bug that eats mucilage. So essentially what Bloom does, I created a machine that has 3 functional prototypes right now that the coastal communities can pick up the mucilage by themselves, convert it into hydrochar, and then utilize it as fertilizer. With skyrocketing inflation, that helps them a lot as well, and they give some sense of control of the mucilage that's washing up on their shores. It's such a band-aid solution, but it's probably the one solution that's actually being provided to the Marmara Sea, other than the Marmara Sea Action Plan, but it's just looking at nature's design principles. Again, like nature doesn't use more energy than it needs. It uses just enough. It doesn't produce waste. There's so much more that I could be doing to actually create a solution that is nature-oriented, but in a sense, I had to create a solution so urgently that I had to comply to that system. But again, it is so unfortunate that out of the millions of people that live around the Marmara Sea, I'm one of the few that speak English, so I'm here speaking on behalf of them. I wish they were here with me right now, because I don't do it justice. The wisdom they have, the love they have for the ocean, I can't do it justice. The elderly on my island, they have this connection that I hope to have one day, but the ocean is acceleratingly dying. So, but I hope to pass it on to further generations, and I hope that one day we don't need to learn how to speak in finance to make people care about protecting the ocean. And that's what we see in loss and damage. And just one quick last point. If you read the fine print of the loss and damage fund, most of them are through financing mechanism, through loans. If you look one step closer, it looks so pretty when you talk about it. Oh, loss and damage funds, the US put $3 billion. It's in loans. How dare you put a loan on a country that can't even pay themselves back? How could you even feel okay with that? It's just so unethical. You take one step further. It's such a failure as a species. We're such a failure at times. Again, that's finance. That's what finance does. They speak in finance so other people don't understand at times. I don't want to understand what they're saying, but I end up doing that. And an example of this, that's my last thing I'm going to say. One of my friends from Palau, they mentioned that they were able to tap into loss and damage funds last year due to a tidal storm that destroyed their port. So they tapped into the loss and damage fund that the United States gave, and the port was owned by Palau. Since the port got destroyed, the US built their own port. They get the money. The US gets money on Palau's port. They built it. That's loss and damage. That's how they define loss and damage. They're just finding another way to greenwash capitalism in another form, in another evil form that people can easily digest. We all think, oh, loss and damage, that's great. You take it one step further. It's disgusting. It's just capitalism in another way. So I urge all of you to just Read the fine print, think deeply, think critically. Learn the evil language they're speaking. Go into finance, go into every single field, learn their language, and get it from the inside. Because honestly, at this point, we should have phased out yesterday. We should have phased out 5 years ago. We're so late. We don't have time anymore. But yeah, that's my 2 cents as a climate tech person. But
As you can see, everyone does wear their hearts on their sleeves. We're unapologetic, and our generation is standing up to the challenge. The greatest challenge that we've ever seen across humanity, across this earth, space, time matrix that we're living in. One thing that does certainly have a 10x investment, though, is investing in young female entrepreneurs, young women that are innovating within climate tech, and young women that are investing in ocean solutions. Let's make sure to go beyond our applauds and handshakes and pats on the back and fund and directly support young women, young leaders that are creating technical and environmental solutions to address the most pressing problems, whether that's innovating with algae like Ela and Bloom do, whether that's consulting with high levels of policy decisions like Mark does, whether that's investing in solutions to educate a next generation of ocean guardians. We need the finance and we need the support, and we need each and every one of you to champion that, to stand up and go beyond this space and say, I'm going to support a young person, I'm going to invest in a young female entrepreneur, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, because that certainly does have a high ROI. JP, speaking about ROI, speaking about technology and innovation, what are some of the hopeful technologies we're seeing in terms of plastic pollution and rewilding? And can you share a case study from a very unique island in Bermuda that is at risk of sea level rise and oceanic warming and all the threats posed by climate change? And what are you guys doing to rewild and keep those ecosystems healthy?
Hi, I'm from Bermuda. I work principally on an island. It's a 14-acre nature reserve called Nonsuch Island. It's been rewilding now. We're 60 years into a 100-year rewilding process. So rewilding is a buzzword as of late, but we're the showcase of that. We have multiple critically endangered species. We have 2 or 3 species that were thought extinct for hundreds of years. We're now bringing back well, they'll never fully recover, but we're doing our best to bring them back slowly. And one of the things I'm looking to do is give more equitable access to data and technology, because it's easy enough to spend $8,000 or $10,000 on an ocean sensor of some type, but that's just not usable or affordable to those in the most of the world that need access to those technologies. So I'm looking at disrupting the whole ocean tech space with far more cost-effective technological solutions. One of these this just starts out as a little ocean tracker. So Nonsuch Island has a 300-foot beach that faces the North Atlantic and serves as an aggregator of plastics in the North Atlantic Gyre. And we're collecting 3-4 tons a year of plastic off that beach. Going through that with students, we're finding that 95% of it doesn't come from Bermuda. It comes from somewhere else. But those in the plastic treaty space are always passing the buck. They'll blame this river here or that river there, but it's never clear that it's everybody's problem. And as a perfect example, we deployed one of these devices at the UN Oceans Conference in Lisbon last year in June. We basically dropped 4 of these off the beach, just not far at sea. They were left off the beach in Lisbon. One of them beached in Portugal, 2 made their way down to Morocco, and as of Saturday, the last one, 18 months later, had reached the Bahamas. So just leaving a bottle on the beach in Lisbon affects the Bahamas. And it's just not right that small island nations are disproportionately affected by other people's plastics, just as they are for weather and sea level rise and everything else. But this has a bit of hope to it, because what we're doing here is this isn't just a plastic tracker, this is a low-cost ocean sensor. So future versions of this will have a myriad of other sensors added to it. They phone home 3 times a day through satellite, and it's going to add a much higher resolution view of what's happening in the ocean currents as this becomes more and more important to us. There's talk about the Gulf Stream stopping or flipping, and which would be, for Bermuda, where our temperatures are in the 60s to 80s year-round, controlled by the Gulf Stream. If the Gulf Stream's gone, then we're level with North Carolina. Bermuda would literally fall apart. Our homes are built out of limestone. When limestone freezes, the water expands, the rock crumbles. old homes, anybody living in a home in Bermuda more than 50 years old will have a problem. So things that are affecting us that we just out of our control, but what I can do anyway is at least try to put the tools in the hands of those who need it and make it more affordable for doing so.
There's so much incredible technology that can advance ocean protection, whether that's combating plastic pollution at source, using these low-cost ocean sensor and data equipment to increase ocean equity and access to data. And there's so much knowledge that has been shared across centuries of wisdom, often wisdom that is completely undervalued, just as indigenous sciences. I'm really curious, Uncle Warunga, as we've gotten to share a lot of stories this week, what is one piece of wisdom that you think the world would benefit from hearing and internalizing on a deep level? And how can all these emerging technological solutions, youth-led solutions, solutions to address carbon, offsetting, etc., that are not solving solutions at the source, truly be transformative? What's the next step we need to take in order to address the climate crisis at the source, which is a values crisis?
I was just thinking earlier about we got these people who run this world, and they're not thinking about our future generations, not one bit. You wonder why. What happened to Mars, the planet Mars? What happened there? Now they want to come and destroy this planet, and that's why we're all standing up together to be counted to make this a better place for our future generation. Not only that, there's also for us and the first children of the mother, all the beautiful trees that we need to keep alive, and need to plant more and more trees. And also, the ocean, it also got trees underneath it. The land, trees, the roots go under the ocean, up the other side, and into the forest. It's all connected like one big web. So we need to keep that web alive. That's what we need to do as an elder, and through my knowledge, and also for the ocean, that my great-grandfather used to speak to the dolphin to bring the fish in language. And the dolphin bring all the fish in, and he said, that's enough, that's all we need to feed our families. So the ocean was connected to us. So as a small child, that's where I started from. And now, to connect to the whales on the ocean, to see Migaloo go up the east coast of Australia, that's a big step to keep that alive and keep all the rest of them alive. And if we don't do it, we're going to end up like Mars. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle. And I think when we listen and learn from the wisdom of our human and non-human ancestors, we all in fact did emerge from the ocean. And when we listen to the voice of the ocean, we can better understand and be informed about how to address climate issues, and most importantly, how to work across generation to solve problems with innovative approaches to solutions. I think when we look and learn from biomimicry and the songs and dance of whales and dolphins and all the incredibly echolocative marine megafauna that inhabit the Great Blue Sea, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot we still don't understand. Fire, can you share a little bit more about the importance of listening to our kapuna, our ancestors, both terrestrially and underwater, and how come their voices haven't been heard before this?
Yeah, well, what we call our tipuna, our ancestors, are all around us. This is our elemental world. And, I can feel one of them kissing my ear right now, being Tawhiri Mate, the wind. And, he has a very important relationship with Tangaroa, the god of the sea. They're all brothers. Tane Mahuta, the god of the trees, as Uncle was saying. And they're all connected, and our creation stories tell us, they're not just fables or tales or mythical, wonderlands. if you look deeper into our stories, into the history, if you take off the cover of, oh, it's just a lullaby, and look at the science behind it, and you decipher what we're truly saying, there are understandings that equal, if not supersede, what scientific people are actually, talking about, and honestly confusing us most of the time with this language that we that average everyday people just go straight over the head. I think, when we look at our tipuna, when we follow them, when we are in a time of peace enough to create art, when we are in a time of peace enough to watch our children play and not have to worry about bombs going off in our backyard or our children dying in front of our eyes, when we are in a time of peace that we can watch nature and actually learn what she's telling us, we get all the answers that we ever need. Our tipuna sometimes, our kaitiaki, our guardians, are sometimes so disorientated by the noise that is going on in our ocean system today that they are beached quite often. Families are washing up by the hundreds, and as guardians of them, we take them we go through a process as people, as Maori people, when they are beached on our shores, and it's not always that they can make it out because they're sick, right? If they're sick, we're sick. We know this. So we have to kind of almost be a steward to the passing of them way, way too early. And we have scientific knowledge, indigenous knowledge, that have a word for every piece of anatomy within a whale, that we know exactly the precise pinpoint of a steel blade to go down the cortex of a whale beached on the ocean to put it out of its pain and misery. You don't just come up and pop it with a bullet. Oh, missed that spot. No, we actually know exactly where to put the blade so it can go peacefully, because they scream when they're dying. When they're on the beach, they cry. And it is a painful sound if you've ever had the misfortune to hear. So beyond that, they are exactly us. They are named. They are buried with proper procedure and protocols. And every part of those kaitiaki, every part of our tipuna are then used. Nothing is wasted. And I really feel like we are in a time of such consumerism that we feel like we need to, just engulf ourselves with materialistic things. We come naked, we leave naked. We must really focus on what is the most important thing here on our planet, and that is our experience, our connection to one another, and our connection to Mother Nature. And my goodness, how much can we love? How much can we love each other, and how much can we love this beautiful world?
So the next generation of kids, of young people, are being brought up in a world that is so uncertain, in a world where they don't even know what our timeline is for the future. They're also being brought up with the wisdom of indigenous guardians of the sea, of ocean protectors. They're being brought up in a world where climate education, ocean literacy, and materials to access nature are becoming more accessible. They're being brought up in a world where equity is being increased and justice is being found and fought for. Despite these conflicting dilemmas, we're seeing that hope emerges through the cracks of the concrete, just as grass grows in a cityscape where you feel there's no nature, even like here. We're seeing that hope is what's deep down inside of us, even when we feel an immense amount of darkness. And I think this is ever present and effervescent in our lives. in our livelihoods, in each one of our hearts. And when we understand that, we understand how we can create a better vision for the future. We understand that humans don't have to be a plague. They don't have to be a virus. We don't have to be what's killing the planet. We can be a direct part of the solution. We can be our own antidote to the problems that we've created, and we can be the cure to this sickness that the world is feeling. When I dream of the future, I think of an ocean that is abundant, of healthy kelp forests with otters in them, free of urchins. I think of seagrass meadows that expand where dugongs are coming back to life. I think of seahorses playing in the seagrass and coral reefs that are bustling with sharks and parrotfish. I dream of a future where the ocean is healthy, where myself and my kids and all the generations to come will be able to learn from the whales, where there won't be this crisis of sound underwater, where all of our ancestors are being washed ashore. I want to ask you all something that I don't think we've really think about much. Imagine we create a beautiful regenerative future. What does that look like for you? How does that feel? And I also encourage you all during this time to keep your eyes open or close them and think about what that looks like for you. Because in terms of how we get there, that's exactly what we need. We'll keep this short and sweet because this can get quite long. And I just want to open it up to the panel to share, open up to my dear friends, ancestors, Kapuna, to share what they feel about their dreams for the future.
My bag alarm is going off, so that's mine. So somebody just take the bag.
That's
put it
the
away.
ocean calling.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, our time is up. Oh my gosh, I just opened up Pandora's
no,
box.
sorry. I apologize for that.
It's a hard question.
Yeah.
Because we feel so hopeless. I feel very hopeless right now. I'm tired of feeling hopeless too. But trying to find a way to put words to it. But I think that's my hope for the future, that we don't have to speak to feel. I can't even put words to it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's like we could look at a fish and speak its same language, empathy, love, and that language the fish speaks, the people in the blue zone, sheltered in their negotiation rooms, in the dark and in the closed doors, they could open their eyes, open their hearts, and feel it. I hope that we can close that language barrier, not only English, but from human to non-human, because I think that's the true cause. It's a values crisis. We think just because it's not human, it doesn't have a voice, but that's so false. It's so false. So false. And unfortunately, when you say that, again, in the negotiations place, no one would take you seriously. I can't name one.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't name one. But it's the truth. It's the truth. That's what sustained us for God knows how many years, I wish we didn't need words for this, if that makes sense.
dreaming takes courage, and it's not for the faint of heart, and that's why this is a big question. And this was not prepped. I never follow any script. And I think it's really important that as we open our hearts and minds, that we really unpack a world in which we dream to envision, because how else are we going to create that?
Yeah, and I love what both of you just said. I love what everyone's been saying. And I feel like kind of bad at the same time, because for those of you that know me, I don't want to be the guy that's like exposing the Grinch that stole climate negotiations here at COP28. Like, that's not my MO.
Come on, Mark. We're lucky for it. We need it too.
Because I think I really do have that optimism. I think I really do have that self-driven agency to ensure that we're understanding the different pathways that allow us to take action. I think about this all the time. I mean, I think about, what do we envision what our future looks like? I mean, literally, you guys might be able to guess, but the name of my consulting firm, Blue Green Generation, is literally about how we generate a blue-green future and how we can be a blue-green generation. So I'm always thinking about this question, right? And it is one that's difficult to answer. And I think that the thing is that the future that will become the reality for all of us will be very different from the one that exists now. I think a really, really crazy truth is that probably because, it's not like if we stopped emissions today, warming would stop and there would be no climate disasters tomorrow. Unfortunately, it's climate. It takes a lot of time for us to actually remediate the damages that we've already caused, the emissions that are already out there, and the warming thereby that is expected. And so to know that every year we're going to see even more degradation in different ways is mind-blowing, and I think is a call to action for all of us. And I think call to action is just what I shared in my last intervention. We can't just rely on what's going on in the negotiating room because it can be compromised so easily on the second to last day of this conference. You know what I mean? It's about how can we understand the different pathways that exist for us to actually create our own solutions, and feel really inspired to hear about the wisdom coming from indigenous communities in so many ways. I think the way that we solve the climate crisis is through a nature-first approach, and who better to show us what leadership on that front looks like than the people who have been stewarding 80% of the planet's biodiversity. When I think about the way that we can make sure that we're leveraging technology and finance to be able to bring the solutions that we want to see that are representative of the future that we like to have. I can look to Ela, I can look to JP, I can look to the work that Bodhi does, for example, and see that, all right, there's progress that's being made there as well. And I think that speaks to the larger future that we're looking to have. I think it's this future where we reclaim our reality as Gen Z. I think it's about us recognizing that those harnessing the power are not well equipped to make decisions on our behalf. And I'm not going to go ask my representative to relay a message to President Biden. I'm going to be the one in his ear. And how can I be the one in his ear? And honestly, if we're going to reclaim our future, if we're going to reclaim our reality, young people, we need to be in positions of power. Please, please, please become the leaders of tomorrow, not just by creating your own businesses, but run for office. Run for office, because it's clear that these clowns are misrepresenting the actual urgency and ambition that we need so that we actually have a future. And I think it's also so important for us to recognize that this is not just a vision where it's, doom and gloom and I have to deliver an intervention like the last one I did. It's about this beautiful shared common vision for what we can have. What an opportunity we have. What an opportunity. The way that our systems have been built has been built on exploitation, extraction, and this parasitic relationship with nature. We, as a generation, have the biggest opportunity to completely change the status quo from this relationship. We know exactly what the symptom of this type of failed system looks like, and now more than ever do we, across all over the world, share this common vision for recognizing that the status quo is clearly not working. When we talk about the ways that nature and humans and technology and finance can cohabitate in a way that allows all of us to thrive, that's a future that I want to buy into. It's not just a future that I have because, I love whales too, Sister Faya, but this is a future where literally we can create sustainable livelihoods. I'm not going to be surrounded by a concrete jungle. We're going to rewild our urban spaces. I'm going to be able to go to the Aosha Sea and actually be able to see what it looks like without these mucilage blooms. This is the type of future that we can create. We just need the ambition, the urgency, the leadership, and the courage to reclaim this vision for ourselves.
Mic drop.
I'm not sure I can follow that. Just me from a technology point of view, the fact that we're in a space now where we're able to drive down the cost of technology and make it more, give people equitable access to it. It's not just access to the technologies. We're getting to a point where we can get equitable access to the data and, in fact, individual ownership of the data. So it isn't the data that coming out of ocean devices and of all these sensors that we have around the planet won't just belong to big institutions that do studies with it and don't necessarily share it, and the alarms don't go off before it's too late. We're at a point now where it should all be owned by all of us, and open sourced and shared, and so everybody knows, and we're on a level playing field. Everybody that it's the ownership of the data as well that isn't locked up in institutions that don't share it. That's part of the thing. Just as an example, the part of one of my projects I'm working on is called BioQuest. It's a genomics company focused on biodiversity, but its parent company is called Genetics. It was founded by a female, black Bermudian, Oxford-trained geneticist who's amazing, and basically, she saw a space in the world that, from the human health side point of things, that the majority of medications and medical tests, etc., are based on a European male genome, which leaves out 85% of the world. And that same model translates back over. That we're focusing on developing new tests and new technology focused on the Afro-Caribbean, and we've now mirrored that through BioQuest, where we're using genomics for biodiversity in the Caribbean. Technology is making that possible now. That the individuals should own their own data, from whether it's their own genomic data to the biodiversity data from the communities. It shouldn't be locked up. It should be shared, or should be owned by individuals or regions or the like. Yeah, so.
Absolutely. Data equity and access is key in terms of how we shape the future of our ocean and the future of humanity. Uncle, would you like to add?
I was just thinking, I don't blame the sharks in the ocean, because that's their environment. I don't blame them for getting angry with the human beings, because they throw so much rubbish and shit in the ocean, and if they're attacking somebody, it's for a good reason.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them one bit, because they're out there and it's their backyard. You don't leave your mess in your backyard, do you? You clean it up. So the sharks, we call him young guy, and young guy speaks, and I saw sharks lots of times when I was surfing as a young man, but I realize that now they just doing their stuff and their job, and I give them all my respect to them. And I love the ocean, because I also wear, like my sister here, we also wear our whales family on ourselves, because we respect it. Because you can hear them singing out. Get you, I can say the word, but I won't. Act together before it's too late. So sad. Thank you.
I think that's really resemblant of something much bigger. Sharks are the apex predator, besides killer whales, of the ocean, and humans are the so-called apex predator of the planet. However, sharks are the ones protecting their reefs. They're keeping dead, dying, and deceased fish off of the reef. They're keeping the genome of the reef very healthy. And we need sharks in marine environment so it's thriving. However, the question is, how can we have humans in our planetary environment so our planet is thriving? I think we have a lot to learn from sharks, all their lessons they have taught us. I love diving with sharks. I love being as close as I can to sharks, as close as they will let me come. And I realize that we also kill hundreds of thousands of sharks a year, and sharks only kill 1 to 2 human beings a year. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because we have a really strong lesson to learn from them. And rather than fearing these beings that are powerful, that are keeping our ocean healthy, they're helping to keep us alive, we should start appreciating them. And we need to end all shark finning now. We need to end the destruction of marine megafauna and whaling now. We need to end any extractive industry in the ocean now, so that we can start to respect the ocean and it can start to continue to provide the life that it gives us, because the ocean gives us everything. Fire, I know that's a big part of the vision that you see for a future. Can you expand on that, and then we'll wrap it up, because we have really gone on a huge journey here.
Yes, it is a huge journey. I just think it just all comes back to relationships. The way we treat each other is and the way we treat our environment, it's all one big living organism. We can't know it all. Everyone up here owns a strand of knowledge that creates the one living organism being this panel. And I think then when we look out into our world, like we all can do our part, we all can be the thread that creates the new world. I think we all have our own innate gifts and uniqueness that together we should not despair, that there is hope, there is always hope until the last whale cries.
When we really start to listen to the ocean, to her voice that is sounding a call so deep and vast, then we can get to the future that we all need to see. And sometimes what happens beneath the surface, what happens at depth, as Sister Fire was explaining, is that which we cannot understand and see. It's because it's not many of our elements. However, we all did come from the ocean, as I shared, and when we find our water and marine heritage and start to listen to the magic of the parrotfish eating the algae on the reef, the songs of the whales, the fast pulse of the sharks coursing through the water as they hunt their fish, then we get back to the ancestry of water that can inform all of our decision makings. We know in a lot of indigenous communities, there's a simple expression, water is life. When this informs our decision making across all of multilateral and multi-governmental spaces, then we can address these global challenges and get to direct solutions, regenerating ocean health, regenerating the health of watersheds, regenerating the health of ecosystems, rewilding, and evolving past humans as a plague and as a solution. I just want to wrap up really quickly by each of you just sharing one word or expression of what you're going to continue to do out of this love and shared connection after the COP space. We know that this is just one key point within a myriad, within an ocean of key points and droplets of water that are being affected for the health of our planet, for global goals. We know there are many other conferences to come, unfortunately, and we've had 28 COPs up until now, although the change at which we've needed to accelerate hasn't been at that scale. What's one word, phrase, expression that really helps take all the knowledge we shared here? Because to me, for us, this was a complete success. For the world, this has been pretty detrimental, and we'll see what happens by the end of the day in terms of the final language of the negotiations. And afterwards, we're going to go right to the blue zone and make sure our voices are heard. We are going to be unapologetic about that because we've been here every day, almost all night, for 12, 13 days in a row, and we're going to continue to show up because that's the perseverance of Gen Z. How do we take all this energy and move it forwards out of the COP space? Let's just touch very briefly on this because I know we can go into everything. And then if Fire, I would love to open it to you to close this session today, to keep our energy and to kind of bring all of our energies towards us and focus like a laser beam or like a pinfish that's like these super straight fish that are able to move very quickly so we can go forwards together in the right direction as we paddle our canoe together. So opening it up to everyone first for a little bit of what we're going to move forwards, and then Fire, please round us out. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today, and I hope you've been learning something new.
Thank you.
So one thing I just want to let you guys know before I give my phrase is that the new Global Stocktake text is supposed to come out at 2 p.m. in 30 minutes. So let's hope I'm not back here again and 30 minutes saying the same thing. No, I'm just kidding. I think that my phrase would be reclaim my future.
Two words, intergenerational collaboration.
Stand up as humans for your rights in caring and sharing. Yeah.
I guess mine would be Alhamdulillah, because I believe I'm here for a reason. Allah put me here for a reason. Allah made me experience everything for a reason, and I also think it's symbolic that I'm sick right now, because in Islam, when you're sick and you recover, you're cleansed. And I think it's really symbolic. that I'm sick now on the last day, because I do need a cleanse, and I need a cleanse to go back and do the work. So, alhamdulillah, that's my phrase.
Beautiful. I would just like to invite us all to stand for something. Stand for your purpose in this world. Stand for a promise that you can change one thing, be it really, really small, like the phytoplankton, or be it really, really large, like a big blue whale. We can all make a difference, and I would say, do not despair. Hold on to hope, for she's swimming in the sea. Please, let's close our eyes as one family, as one circle in this moment. Really hold on to this dream and this promise that you will walk into directly after we leave this space. That you will carry throughout tomorrow, next week, after you've had some rest and rejuvenation. That this promise of the smallest measure deep in your heart, that you will care and take action, because it takes both pieces of the heart and the mind, that we bridge between the two to become whole again, to become healthy, to build this beautiful world that we know we are so, so deeply honored to even be here. That your promise is not just for yourself. That your promise to caretake for those beautiful children laughing and playing in the background, for their beautiful children who are laughing and playing in the stars, waiting to arrive here and enjoy this beautiful experience, what it is to be human. That we dream of a world that this is all possible, that all things are possible, and anything can change within a moment. That one pebble creates a ripple that creates a tidal wave. We hold the power for change. Go with love, beautiful family. Walk into the future with your promise. Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Share your promise with someone else and give them a hug, because honestly, with this work, we need a lot more connection and we need a lot more love. So I think a hug is due. I think we've worked really hard. And I think we all need the support, to be honest. So go and hug someone. Come on, it might seem mundane. Come on, we need it. We all need a good hug.
Wow, that was something. That was something.
It's an emotional ride.
Wow. Oh my god, the mic is on.
Wow. Wow. Now you're all ocean climate warriors. Welcome to the coolest family in the world. I salute you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for organizing this.
Is this on?
Oh my god.
No? Yes?
So glad I met you.
Likewise.
Oh, Bodhi.
I just wanted to add something really briefly here. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amber, and I'm the founder of the Extreme Hangout. And my love of the environment comes from the ocean. And that's why I'm here, and that's why the Extreme Hangout exists. And Sister Fire, may I call you Sister Fire? When you spoke at the beginning about how Maoris bathe in salt water when they need release, when they hold emotion, the only thing I would add to that is there's no irony associated with the fact that our tears are salt. So if you want to know how closely connected you are to our ocean and how important it is for our living systems, you need only taste your tears. Thank you so much for being here, all of you.
Through sacred sonics, we can change the molecular structure of water. So, my beautiful sister, for all the work that you have done over these past 2 weeks, we thank you for holding space for so many voices on this platform. Ngā mihi aroha, bless your heart. Kia ora. Thank you for your tears. So much.
The last thing that I wanted to add as well is it's a long COP. We all know that. You guys are still here. We're still here. And this is our third COP now. And I've challenged myself repeatedly over, do we do 10 days of programming? Thank God we did 10 days of programming, because otherwise we wouldn't have heard these voices on our stage. Thank you again.